Herd, and welcome to another episode of Nerd Herder. I'm J-Dub,
And de boop.
and we like Star Wars. This
We
is
do?
why we podcast, and we have been on a journey this year revisiting our love of Star Wars by confirming our love of Star Wars,
Yes.
and also just rambling about our love of Star Wars.
You know what, John?
Yes.
The real Star Wars are the friends we made along the way.
No, but okay. Um, yeah, we've been doing episodes throughout this year based on the films. All nine of them. We're on that journey and basically just taking time to sit down and talk about why we love them in hopes that it would confirm your reasons for
Yeah.
loving them, change your reasons for not loving them, or just be pleasant conversation
Yeah.
at the very least.
And you know what? We are talking about the Skywalker saga. We're not talking about the in-betweens. We will probably talk about those at another point. But right now
Oh
we're sticking
yeah,
to the
absolutely.
the
Not
nonology.
that they're lesser films,
No, not in the slightest.
but we're primarily just trying to get through the nine, and so we started that early this year, and obviously in between have had side quests and adventures, and spent time talking about other things as well. But you can go back into our catalog of things, whether it's YouTube or on your favorite podcasting platform. You
Mhm.
can find all those episodes and check those out. Um, just FYI, we love them all.
We
So
do.
if you're looking for anything in particular, I can't help you. If you're trying to find something that confirms, aha, they love this one more than this one, that makes me right in not liking that one. No,
No.
they're all great.
Exactly.
They are all. There's not a bad Star War.
The amount of times I've looked someone in the face and said, "I love all of them."
Right. And it's not to get out of your stupid Twitter post about red pill or blue pill. Which one are you gonna keep forever? All of them.
All of them.
I like all of
I
them.
will nom both
I
of
will
those pills,
not
my friend.
choose between my children. And you can't make me. So, we have been on this journey for a while. We are now on episode 8. Not a controversial Star Wars episode at all.
No.
The hard thing is, like, throughout the year as we've done these episodes, it's been so easy to just sit and talk about. We love this, we love that. These really resonated with me. These mean a lot to me. These are nostalgic to me.
Mhm.
Whatever, because uh, by and large, 1 through 6 are so agreeable. I guess.
Agreed.
Um, I guess it's because they're recent. I guess it's because humanity has just fallen and broken. But 7, 8, 9 for some reason feels more of a we almost have to talk about what we love about them in order to defend them.
Mhm.
Uh, and don't get me wrong, I don't think it's our mission in life to do that. I think these films are just great, and I think
Agreed.
that generally the the people and the reasons that they're disliked um, come from very ill intent. I think
Uh-huh.
there are people that these just aren't your favorite Star Wars. That's not what I'm talking about.
No.
I'm talking about toxic fandom and people that judge people, and not just judge, but like abuse and belittle and attack people based on film opinions.
Exactly.
Most of those people that don't like these films, and probably this one in particular, I think those come from very different places. And so it's almost like part of the reason we shout so loudly that we love them is to convince people that don't that hey, these are good movies.
Mhm.
You're just being a butt.
Yes, and guess what? Your opinion is not the only opinion.
Right. And so if you're not a huge fan of these movies, don't take that as a oh, we don't like you. That's not true.
No, not in the slightest.
Um, as long as you're civil about your opinions, as long as you're a decent human, and as long as you don't judge or belittle people for their opinions, we don't we don't care. We're cool. There's no beef.
Mhm.
Um, but as soon as what you feel about movies becomes a reason to hurt and bully people, that's when we don't really like you, and you're
Yeah.
uninvited to the Nerd Herd Club.
Yes, get out.
So with that said, I guess that's an intro. Um, we're talking about the Last Jedi.
Yes, we are.
Of all of the films, again, I feel like this is the one most people have done episodes on why they hate it. I
Agreed.
feel like there's so many anti versions of this episode out there about the Last Jedi.
And this is probably one of the most searched hashtags in some people's YouTubes or Twitter searches. Because apparently people just like to find posts talking about The Last Jedi positively and just dump on it.
Yeah.
It's happened to me several times.
It's the downside of hashtags. It makes you
Yeah.
findable by the bullies. Um, but it's also the good thing about hashtags because it helps you find the kind of people you want to
Yeah.
avoid as well,
And you know
I
what?
guess.
Come at me, Scrub Lord. I'm ripped.
I don't know about that, but more than capable of defending ourselves.
Yes.
And again, not against, like, if you have opinions, if you have film critique, that's one thing. Although you'd have a hard time convincing me this isn't a perfect film.
Agreed.
Um, that do that exist. That's fine. Again, we have and will continue to take a hard stance against the kind of negativity that
Hmm.
is in the fandom menace, that is in the kind of people that just viscerally hate people and this film and these
Hmm.
films, the sequels in general. Um, and that said, to play devil's advocate, look, if you like the sequels and you hate the other ones, you shut up too. Don't be mean to people. Like,
Yeah.
everybody just be nice, dang it,
Be nice people, for Pete's
and we'll
sake.
be able to have a much happier time. Um, so with that, The Last Jedi
Yes. Love
kind
it.
of got a little bit of a different setup to our approach to this one.
Hmm.
Last time we had a very, and in general, we take a very fluid approach. We're very much just um, sitting down and talking. If we were to just sit down with someone, we could easily just start a conversation and talk about each of these films for sure.
Hmm.
Uh, because we like The Last Jedi so much, and because there's so many angles from which to take it, and we're not promising anything, we are not getting through everything we could possibly talk about The Last Jedi in this episode.
That would be a 5-hour
Yeah,
episode.
we're gonna have to come back to specific conversations.
Yes.
There's so many mini conversations that you can have within the mythos of The Last Jedi alone,
Hmm.
not to mention the entire sequel trilogy. And so we're not scaling that mountain. And so, in order to help us manage what we will talk about, I do have a bit more of a, not script for us, but guideline.
Hmm.
And I took a particular approach again because I feel like this film in particular we have to almost defend. I felt like, why not talk about specifically the things we love that most The Last Jedi haters don't.
Uh-huh.
So almost just specific conversation, specifically countering some of the more ridiculous accusations of the film and everything. So we'll kind of keep a pretty good time of everything as we go through what I'm calling the some say argument section. But before we get there, why do you love The Last Jedi? We never really start there
No,
with
we
we
don't.
just kind of go,
We do, because
but
we're so excited to talk about stuff.
because this is such a particular film, I thought this question was very important because I think there's particular answers from our side of it. And I think everybody in general, when you like something that most people don't like, there's a very specific reason.
Hmm.
And I want to know and respect those reasons. And so, for sure, all of these questions and arguments are open to everyone. But as for
Absolutely.
you, why do you love The Last Jedi?
I love The Last Jedi because it is not just a dang fine movie, which it is.
Mm.
It's got great pacing. I think the script is very good. Ryan Johnson, thank you very much. It
Hey,
has.
yo, Ryan Johnson, real quick.
You want to come on
Where's
the
that
podcast,
trilogy? Wait, you
please?
want to? Yeah, you want to come on the podcast
You
and
want
talk
to come
about
on the
that trilogy? Where's
podcast?
that trilogy?
Where's that trilogy at,
Bring
though?
me that trilogy, boy.
Hey, can you check in the back?
Yeah, check
You
in the
got any
back for that trilogy,
trilogies?
brah. It might be behind Knives Out 3.
Please. Oh man, I would love a Star Wars Knives Out crossover. Can you
It
believe?
would make no sense, but Ryan would make it happen.
I hope so. Just to be like piss off fans. It'd
Right.
be so good. Yes, I think it is very well written. Um, there are some dialogue that's a little weird, but that's fine. There's
Got
dialogue that's
anything that in particular? Or is that too much on the spot?
it's a little too much on the spot
Oh,
off the top of my head.
okay.
I could think of something later probably.
Okay, try to.
Yeah. I love the characters. in this movie so much. Rose Tico is absolute bae. I love her dearly.
She's so precious.
She is adorable, but not only that, she is fierce.
Yeah.
And
All right.
I think that she is a fantastic character. I
Okay.
will not argue with anybody about it. 'Cause I
Well,
like
you're
her.
gonna have to argue later because that's one of our points later.
Probably,
So,
and that's fine.
so we'll save some of that.
Yeah.
But
The thing that I love the most about it is that it is a story about finding yourself.
mm,
Um, whether that be with found family, whether that be, growing and understanding more about yourself, or just acceptance in general, whether that be, through other people or, again, yourself.
hmm
But I love so many elements of the story of, oh, you thought you knew, but no, you don't.
yeah,
Get in the cockpit, flyboy. Like I love Poe's arc throughout this entire movie. I think it's very important for you to see. It's a very similar arc to what Ahsoka went through in a couple episodes of the Clone Wars.
yeah.
You can't trade lives for power.
Very personal things.
Yeah, very good. I like the movie a lot
hmm
for various different reasons, and it's also just dang pretty to look at.
Very
For
true.
Pete's sake.
Yeah. Again, and I'm not trying to be overly generous or a shill or anything. I just
I'm trying to be a
it
shill.
would
Where's my check,
you
Disney?
genuinely would have a hard time convincing me this is not a perfect film.
Great.
Um, Ryan Johnson gets film and gets Star Wars in an almost magical way,
Mm-hmm.
and Lucasfilm for this and for hopefully the trilogy to come has gotten so lucky with having someone as awesome and genuine
Mm-hmm.
and passionate
There's no
as
telling
Ryan
this
Johnson.
sucks.
Um, we will forever benefit from having had him do a Star Wars.
Agreed.
And so, first and foremost, I love this film because it is so good. It's just so well done. Um, and I just had it. Um, we did ask on Twitter. We got some mentions of some various things we'll mention kind of throughout, but I choose Bulbasaur 27.
Me too, dude.
Right, tagged something as Oscar Isaac in some sort of pre release interview where he talked about a lot in about 2 minutes, but he says something there that's really true, I think, and I hadn't put into words, but that something about this transcends Star Wars.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
It's just a dang fine movie.
it's almost not fair that a Star Wars movie gets to be this good
Mm-hmm.
because so often we look at all of these films with such love that we think they're all so perfect. And it's I'm not saying that this dethrones anything, that this should be everyone's favorite. I just mean that I don't think we've had such a well done Star Wars film before.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and I say that knowing many people disagree with me, and I don't care.
That's fine, dude.
I genuinely think this is some of the best filmmaking we're ever gonna get with a Star Wars.
Oh yeah, this and Rogue One are two of the most beautifully made, well done Star Wars
And
movies.
so true to essence. It's
Exactly.
so true. It's so true to what Star Wars is that it excels at it, and
Mm-hmm.
that's what I think Oscar is getting at in that interview. Is it's just like somehow you've gotten Star Wars so well that you've used Star Wars to almost make your own thing.
Mm-hmm.
It's obviously exists within Star Wars, but it's this weird conundrum. Um, Obviously, Dave Filoni has done that same magic.
One hundred
I think,
percent.
and I think the reason Star Wars exists at all is because George Lucas had that magic.
Yeah.
And I'm not holding anything against any other director of Star Wars now and future. I just mean that something about the fan in Ryan Johnson helped him to make a very good movie,
Agreed.
and a very personal movie. And I like that you brought up some of those points because this film is so introspective
Mm-hmm.
versus so many others where it's about the battle, it's about the action, it's about the grand scale. Whereas Ryan forces you to forget about the scale
Yeah.
and focus on the people.
It makes you
Um,
stop looking at the forest and you look at the trees.
Exactly. The twigs even.
Yeah.
He is so uh, fine in his development of characters and story threads
Mm-hmm.
that he helps you forget there's a galaxy-wide ordeal going on because you're
Dude,
so swept up with these characters.
the opening scene with Paige Tico is one of the most emotional battle scenes I have ever seen.
And that sequence alone is such a great example of how he does it, right?
Mhm.
As all of these things are happening, he makes you care about one.
Yeah, these are the stakes.
Yeah, and so from the get-go, um, he's making a love story to Star Wars that ends up standing on its own.
Mhm.
Um, by its nature as a sequel, and arguably as a prequel to The Rise of Skywalker, it does interconnect with things, but it also does so well to be its own entity.
Agreed.
Um, it's just so hard to encapsulate. And so, as for more specific reasons why I love it, I'll actually save that for later because it's part of a particular conversation.
Yes, I am very excited.
And by later, I mean now, because I forgot how I structured this.
Okay, go
Because
for it.
instead of taking time to go through an order to this,
Good idea.
like an order of events, I wanted to start with what I think is the biggest thing because I didn't want to lose time to talk about the biggest thing later.
Mhm.
And so, now entering the some say argument section, some say Luke Skywalker was uncharacteristic in The Last Jedi.
To that I
Why do you
say,
love Luke Skywalker in The Last Jedi?
okay, because I know you're going to talk about this a lot. I'm
I
going to go
am.
ahead and get
So,
this out.
no, no. Well, yeah, I don't want to steal thunder. This
Yeah,
is not my episode. This is us.
yeah.
So don't
It could be your
don't
episode though.
reserve. No, don't reserve for me.
I know.
You and
It's all
you and
good.
your opinions in your heart.
I am a firm believer that the people who think that this Luke Skywalker is uncharacteristic did not pay attention. Were you paying attention during the chat around the fire? Is my question to you. Where she confronts him and she's like, "Hey, what happened between you and Ben? And why are you here?" And I think that is such an important conversation to listen to. Pete's sake, because you get the entire story laid out. You get like, okay, people thought that I was this god, essentially, that I could do no wrong, that I was a legend that saved the galaxy.
Hmm.
And then I messed up. And now I'm here. How many people can relate to that? And like, it's such an important scene, not only for understanding the character of Luke Skywalker as we find him, but also to kind of knock some fans down a peg and be like, look, you're putting people on a pedestal. You're putting fictional characters on a pedestal and being like, this is the OP god of all of Star Wars. What happens when he messes up? It's the same thing with never put real life people on a pedestal either. Is, because people are human. They make mistakes. They hurt people unintentionally. And you are sometimes left with someone you thought you knew. And I don't think any of us knew Luke Skywalker until this movie, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
That was a very rambly answer to your question.
Not at all, actually. Yeah, it's almost the question of can Luke Skywalker be human?
Yes,
Can
that's what I mean.
can he be normal? Can he struggle? And
Yeah, what happened to the farm boy?
how would we deal with that? Um, and a lot of people criticize Ryan Johnson for his um, kind of turning things on their head, kind of deconstructing things. But I think that's it where he gets his understanding of things, and that's where he actually makes you care more if you're paying attention
Mm-hmm.
by helping you see the pieces, and in this case with Luke Skywalker seeing the humanity even.
Exactly.
Um, yeah, and they talk about that early on of he had the task of coming up with why Luke Skywalker disappeared. Yes,
Mm-hmm.
Han says so in The Force Awakens. He gives a vague reason,
Yeah.
but overall, why?
Exactly. And I think that has to do with what he thought a Jedi to be in
Sorry, a
general.
cat came out of
Sorry,
nowhere.
it was very funny. She just walked out from under the couch. But yeah, like, because you have to think the only two Jedi Luke ever knew were Obi-Wan Kenobi and Yoda.
Hmm.
two Jedi who messed up royally with his father and then went into hiding. Because I think that's what he thought that he was supposed to do. Is you go into exile when you screw up this bad, and I
Yeah,
think it kind of makes sense.
no, I get what you're saying. I think it's
Yeah.
funny. I think um and he says as much because I was Luke Skywalker, the legend, because I was a Jedi.
Exactly.
Um, like he's very much in a crisis of faith, in himself, yes, but also in this thing that he's given his devotion to.
Hmm.
Um,
That he honestly probably did not have that much of an understanding of.
yeah, and I think that's the thing, and that's why I completely agree, and I hope they stick with this sentiment and direction in that he's absolutely right in that the Jedi, this religious order and this ownership of the light and the Force, has to stop.
Hmm.
I messed up because I believed this was the right thing, and I feel like I lost myself in it. I feel like I allowed this to give me a pedestal and a hubris, and ended up creating a greater mountain for me to fall from
Mm.
when I messed up. Um, and I think that as much as this is a deconstruction of people kind of story, this is a deconstruction of faith kind of story.
Mm.
Faith in what you want. Like, I'm not saying this is a particular faith or even faith in general. Everybody believes in something. And so, regardless, though, this causes a crisis and a question of what you believe in. Is it really what you think it is? Does it really stand for and mean what you think it does? Is there something else or another way? Um, and I love that, and I completely agree with that. We've been very indicting of the Jedi,
Hmm.
and rightly so, in my opinion. And so, yes, I think it would be wrong for Rey to follow in the steps of Luke and to create a Jedi Order. I don't think that's the story here. I think the story is the dissemination of the Force, the dissemination of faith, the idea that you choose who you want to be and you go out and do the right thing.
Agreed.
Not that you are, not because you are a Jedi, not because you belong to something, but because you are who you are. Um, there's a quote from Qui-Gon from the Master and Apprentice book where he talks about, like, I choose the light because it's light, not because I think it'll help me win in the cosmic game or because it makes me good, but because it is light.
Hmm.
And that's this wall that Luke is in, largely failing at scaling, but eventually gets over with the help of Rey and Yoda in this film. This wall of, was I doing it because I was a Jedi or because it was the right thing to do? Was
Exactly.
I doing it because I was Luke Skywalker or was I doing it because it was helpful? He does what he does in the end, not because he is this legend, but because it's really the only thing he could do was make peace with his past.
Exactly.
And so, all of that said, that's very much a response to your point.
Hmm.
For me personally, I relate to Luke Skywalker so much, and part of the reason when I first watched this, I came out of that theater like I need to see this again. I need to think about this some more.
Agreed.
Um, I instantly needed to revisit it and process because what I have really found is that I relate so much to Luke Skywalker in this. I relate so much into this idea of whether by myself or others, I believed a certain thing about myself and my life and my journey, that failed, that let me down, that arguably ruined things, hurt people, and let me down even. And so that fall from the mountaintop, I was in the middle of when this movie came out. And so to see that in this hero that I never related to, I never understood because I wasn't into the lightsaber swinging, the righteous hero thing. I
Hmm.
just
You
I
liked
could
Boba Fett.
I couldn't see myself being the hero, but I could see myself as the broken man, and I did. And seeing him go through this journey of accepting what he'd done, making amends, and ultimately realizing that he can make a choice now. Like, he made choices in the past, and those are what they are, but he can make a choice now, to do the right thing, to pass on and give to others what he's learned. That your failings and your faults are not something to hide, but there's something to teach. There's something to experience. Um, and yeah, like the one time, and I think we talked about this, and then we'll need to go ahead and move on. I think we talked about this, that like one of the few times I really ever loved and felt like the most emotional and nostalgic in a Star Wars for a long time was the binary sunset.
Hmm.
And there's something so beautiful and meaningful to me that that is both the first and last, well, first quote unquote, but first major shot of
Yeah.
Luke and final shot of Luke. In that, look, you're still you. You you are still who you are.
Hmm.
You are who you make you, though.
There
Like,
was.
I just mean, like, he thought that he had ruined himself and his name and the heritage of being a light side person.
Yeah,
When in reality, no, you're the same kid looking at the horizon.
exactly.
Like, you are still you. It's that I'm still worthy scene of Endgame and such and everything. Like that just is so beautiful for me.
Absolutely. And it's that poetic moment of the first time you see the binary sunset, it's for the want of a better life. And then you get the achievement of the better life.
Hmm.
And I think that is so wonderful. And I don't understand how people think that this is bad.
Right. Well, and that's what's funny is, Yoda criticizes,
Always
always looking
looking
to
at
the
the sun.
horizon, adventure, ha,
Yeah.
Jedi crave not things. Like, he got the fulfillment he wanted.
Yeah. He
Not
got to be the hero.
e- exactly. And not because of of him necessarily, but just because he made a choice.
Yeah.
And that's so um George Lucas. That's
Yeah.
so true to who he is and what he's tried to build and bake into Star Wars for so long. Is the choices that we make matter for ourselves and others,
Exactly.
and that we should want to be good people and we should want to do the right thing.
And it's the redemption of a selfish decision.
And so before we move on, I do want to
Yeah.
mention, we've talked about it before, but to bring it up again and modernly, there is a video out there that makes me
It's
cry
so
every
incredible.
time, and it's by the Negotiator, on Twitter and on YouTube. And there's a link in our description for that episode, because he takes this scene, he takes this idea in an episode, and it's called "The Galaxy Need a Legend," and exactly what I felt was put into this video when I say that, like, the final moments of Luke Skywalker tying so beautifully into the first moments. This is this is what you wanted. You wanted to make an impact. You wanted to do
Yeah.
more, and you've gotten to do that.
This is you
Um,
reaching the
yeah,
horizon.
this is your purpose, and you can have peace in it. Um, and so, please check out the video. Go support them and their projects. They've gotten several other videos that are also really cool and everything. But sometimes I just watch this when I want to be emotional for no good reason. But I'm just like, oh, my
I
heart.
hear the music and I know you're about to cry and it's wonderful.
So yeah, so check that out, and maybe that'll help you see what I see when I see the journey of Luke Skywalker in this and whatnot. But for me, yeah, as far as the main sentiment, is he uncharacteristic? No, I think this is the
Absolutely not.
most Luke Skywalker's ever been,
Agreed.
and I think Ryan Johnson gets Luke Skywalker. Some
Some snay.
snay, some snay. Some say Snoke was wasted.
I disagree. I think Snoke was exactly what he needed to be. He was a puppet for Pete's sake.
I, I I think it's so funny because nobody knew anything about Snoke, but as soon as you take him out of the equation, it's just like, what? Well, no, he was so
Oh, come on,
instrumental.
guys.
He
Where's
was
Snoke?
so integral to the story.
Snoke was my dad.
Um, I loved that they jumped the gun on the apprentice usurping the master.
In such a wonderful way.
Oh yeah, did not see it come.
No.
Well, I mean, you could see it as it was happening, but I did not expect them to go through with
Yeah.
this. Uh, usually this is a finale plot thread.
Yeah.
This is where either the villain becomes the greater villain or the villain makes a selfless sacrifice.
Mhm.
But here, it turns that on its head in that he does this selfishly, even.
100%.
Um, what did you think of Snoke overall? That kind of leads you to not really either think he was wasted or not really
Yeah.
care or to like what happened.
Well, at first, I think he was a very mystery box character of
Mm-hmm.
like you can see him, don't know where he's from, don't know what he is or who he is,
Mm-hmm.
but I think I don't think he was wasted in the slightest, in my opinion. I think that he was set up to be a pawn, a talking head that you could, point at and be like, "That's the bad guy."
Mm.
But I don't think there was ever a plan to make him the big bad, like Palpatine.
Yeah, I
I
don't think anybody would have taken that seriously.
No, he's a
To be
dude
fair,
in a gold dress with a
I
poor baby scar.
I for one love that they did more with Snoke in this one, obviously,
Absolutely.
because like you said, he did start off
He's more of a
very,
character.
very kind of an enigma. But
Mhm.
yeah, what and it's Andy Serkis getting to be more Andy Serkis
Exactly.
and act more and do
Mhm.
more. Um, I loved it, and maybe jumping the gun, but what do you think about the truth of Snoke that we get in Episode 9?
I think it makes sense. I honestly, if you read the Darth Vader comics, if you read Charles Soule's specific run,
Mm-hmm.
you see that Palpatine has the capabilities for cloning,
Mm-hmm.
but also to kind of what
He's got a touch in the
yeah,
supernatural.
exactly. Like he
He's got
can
science and
make
magic
the
on his
force.
side.
Exactly. He has the power of God in anime. Um
I can be your angel or your devil.
okay, Aaron Hansen. But yes, like I there's no doubt in my mind that that is something that Palpatine and his merry band of pranksters is capable of.
Did do you think that he is the cause of the dyad, or
No,
do you think?
immediately no.
Okay,
I think the
moving
dyad.
on.
Here's
Okay,
the thing: the Force works in mysterious ways. I think that the dyad was established at at birth, if you
I
could call it
I
that.
feel like it has to be right.
Yeah,
Like I feel like in the mythos, you have to have always been a dyad.
exactly. I
Um,
I think that there are other dyads in the Force. I think that Ahsoka Tano and Darth Maul are a dyad, if I could be so frank.
it's a little generous, but okay.
I'm an incredibly generous person. Ask my friends. Um, but yeah, I think that the idea of dyads has been there since the very beginning, and I think that the son and the daughter were the first dyad. Hot take.
Well, and that's where because I watched Mortis recently, and that was honestly where I got the idea of okay, wait, maybe this is the idea of a dyad. Maybe they are a
Yes,
dyad, um, and they're not really son and daughter and father, but more so this man has absorbed or
this
this
being
being has absorbed the responsibility of controlling this dyad.
agreed.
Um, and so, yeah, and I think that I too, for the dyad to work,
Hmm.
and I love that plot thread. It has to have been there, and I think that Snoke merely discovered it
Agreed.
and didn't understand it. Maybe,
It's the Grand Moff Tarkin rule of I made this.
yes, right. Like, look at what I have done.
Look at my
Um,
achievements.
yeah, because
Look at my slippers.
I feel like that gives him and Palpatine too much uh, authority
Yeah,
in these two characters, Kylo Ren and um, well, Ben and Rey.
yeah,
Um, so yeah, I liked everything about Snoke. I think he served his purpose.
agreed.
He was a
I liked
stepping
his dress.
stool for Ben,
Hmm.
and he was a pawn of Palpatine. I think
Agreed.
that all works. Some say Finn and Rose were useless.
Okay, here's the thing. No. I'm going to straight up say no on that one. I think that this was a very important journey for Finn to go on because he needed to find his place in the rebellion or
Hmm.
in the resistance.
Yeah,
Same
they
thing.
use them interchangeably too. It's confusing.
Anyway, I think that this was very important for him to understand that it's a big resistance. It's not just this one person. You have to make a decision for yourself, you have to make a decision for Rey, but you also have to include the entire army here, not just your interests.
Yeah, whereas we've talked early on about how much this becomes a personal film, it's
Yeah.
almost like Finn has to unpersonalize it.
Yes,
You,
big time.
like you have to take your selfishness and your attachments out of it.
Mhm.
Even he goes on the most Jedi journey, I think,
Exactly.
of all of them. In
Here's
that, hey,
yeah,
this is unhealthy. No matter how righteous it is that you want to
exactly.
save Rey, you've got to see the bigger picture.
Exactly. And here's the thing. He has a running problem. He likes to
Yeah.
run away from
Well,
things, but in this movie he's running
he
towards
he never
something.
really learned his lesson from the last one.
Exactly.
Like if you remember, he ran away or was in the process of running away, got
Mhm.
that interrupted, and then made his sole purpose about saving Rey. He really wasn't helping the Resistance.
Exactly.
He was going there for Rey.
Exactly. And
um,
here's the thing. Rose taught him to walk.
that's true.
There you go. There's your thing.
And well, and even stand
Exactly.
if anything, he had to learn when to stay, when to walk, and when to walk away also,
Mhm.
but not for his own reasons. He had to learn that he has a purpose in the grand scheme of things.
Mhm.
I
But
think
also that it doesn't have to be you.
yeah, I think he learns the whole, hey, you're a part of something bigger from Rose, and I think he learns from Poe towards the end the hey, I get now you're a part of this cause and you want to fight, but you also have to learn when it's better to walk away.
Mhm.
Sometimes you have to realize when you're throwing yourself away versus when you're using your
Agreed.
abilities.
And I think that it's a similar journey for Rose of like, you're not going to fix everything. You're not going to be able
Mm.
to uh, put your fist through this beautiful town, unfortunately. Even though I personally like that line, Scotty J. Rowe. Mhm. Um,
Does he not like that?
he doesn't like that line now.
I mean, it's a little hammy, but I get it.
It's a
Like
hammy movie.
you wish you could just wipe all of this away because it
Hmm.
represents the worst that you've seen of this galaxy and everything.
Exactly.
Um, I I I get it. Not everyone's poetic.
No.
Anakin Skywalker, for goodness sake.
He's
um, it,
so beautiful, John.
yeah, I feel like she had to learn how to deal. Uh, she
Yeah.
couldn't give as selflessly. Like
I think she wanted to match what Paige did.
that would have been such a waste. And I
Exactly.
think she realizes that, and that's why she stops Finn is because it's just this idea of like this doesn't save anybody. This doesn't help
No.
anybody. Um, ultimately, we win by being good, not by
Exactly.
winning. It's the same journey Luke goes on. Is just like, hey, go apologize to your nephew, not so it saves him, but because it's the right thing to do.
Exactly.
Like you've got to make peace, um, because other like you holding on really only hurts him.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
And that's another instance of the trend that I love so much about the sequel trilogy of Ben Solo not getting the satisfaction of taking revenge on someone.
right. Yeah, and that's the thing is like as soon as Luke comes in, he's very much just
Oh,
like, "Oh,
it's
what?
so
You're here
good.
to save me now and all this other stuff." The same thing he thought his father was trying to do. Like,
Mhm.
you know,
I'm here to do
you're
the right
coming to
thing.
get your son. Your son's dead,
Mhm.
right? You lost your chance to save your son. If you wanted to save your son, you would have been there for him.
Mhm.
Like he comes in so defensive. Um, throughout this film he
Yeah.
is when Ray, calls him a monster, he accepts that. Like, yeah, I know. Like,
Look
I
at my edgy hair.
you can't say anything about me that I have not said worse to myself. Like you
Yes.
don't understand.
Yeah.
Um the worst that anyone else has done to me, I've done to myself. And
Mhm.
oh my gosh,
It's so good.
this movie uses Adam Driver so well.
It
And,
really
and we
does.
talked a little bit about Adam as Ben and Kylo in the last one. This is especially his film.
100%.
This is really just him on a pedestal and shining bright as an actor as a
Dude.
character.
Because you see the struggle so clearly in his face. It is perfect.
Well, and again, I love what they do where they flip uh, the the throne room scene on
Mhm.
its edge, where it's not him saving Rey the way Vader saved Luke. This is
No.
him still selfishly doing something that he feels will give him some level of satisfaction or
Yeah.
power or influence over his life. Uh, and in reality, the same way that killing his father did nothing for him, killing Snoke did nothing for him.
Mhm.
Um, and so I thought again that was interesting in that this isn't your typical I'm going to save the hero and heroine in danger, and it's all going to be hunky dory.
No.
Um, I really liked how it pulled the rug out from under of as soon as you think he's got it, as soon as you think he's taking a chance on the
Yeah.
light, we see he's just doubling down.
Yeah. I love the line delivery of, "Oh, no, you're still holding back.
Oh
You're
my
talking
gosh!
to yourself, son."
Right, exactly. It's just like, why won't you let go of your mother, your father, this struggle with the
Yeah.
light inside of you? He's projecting so much onto Ray. The same way that she's projecting onto him, though. She's projecting this idea of, why wouldn't you love your parents? Why wouldn't you love all of this? Like, and not seeing the inner struggle of him. Like
Mhm.
she's trying to cover up her own inner struggle because she knows the truth as he points out, they're not coming back. They abandoned you. They're nobody. And
Mhm.
don't get me wrong, all of that's still true in Tross. Um, like all of that, but you think by loving and accepting Han and Leia and Luke and the rebellion that you somehow don't still have to face those things?
Mhm.
Like, it's so interesting how she's projecting onto him of just accept these things and it'll make you happy. But here's what we've learned by her time on Octo. She has all of those things and she still wants her identity.
Yeah.
She still wants to know who she is based on who her parents are, what her origin is.
Mhm.
And so it's so interesting how the conflict in this film emotionally is from the two main characters projecting their struggles on each other.
Yeah. And that's such an important plot thread, for
Yeah,
Pete's sake.
absolutely. That
Man.
was unprepared, but I'm glad we talked about it because
Still,
it's some important stuff.
very important.
Um, Ben and his journey is always going to be
Yeah.
my favorite throughout these films and everything. So
And the journey that starts with him blowing up his mother. Well, not him, but someone else blowing up
I
his mother.
love
It's very important that
that's
it's not him.
yes, and I love that scene too because
It's so
his
good.
facial expression, his acting in that of
Yeah.
um, just that inner turmoil.
It's that I put it on Twitter right after we watched the scene. It
Hmm.
was the moment of I see you. I don't just see Kylo Ren, I see my son.
Right,
And him dealing with that.
right. You can't detach. You like I'm
Trust
here.
me,
What
it
are you gonna
doesn't
do?
work.
Right. Um, and so yeah, great stuff.
Yeah.
Some say Holdo was too girl boss, which for
Okay.
real quick, only because I only like a week ago learned what this is.
Girl boss is negative.
Yeah, it's like
It's toxic femininity.
yeah,
If I can use that word.
it's what people associate with actual feminism. Like people think that actual feminism is girl bossing, when in
No.
reality, girl bossing
Girl
is
bossing is I'm going to do what I want, screw you.
yeah, it's not good.
Yeah, it's I'm going to step on
I
you
don't
to
know.
make myself better,
Right.
which
So
is not feminism.
so people think that Holdo is negative feminism. Like they think that it's feminism taking over Star Wars because Star Wars is female and
Here's the
Kathleen
thing.
Kennedy and blah.
Look, step back, Timmy. Take a look in the mirror and ask yourself, are you just uncomfortable with a strong female character?
Right.
Are you uncomfortable with a well-written female character who is doing almost exactly what Poe has done in the past? Or in reality, what Leia has done in the past, or countless other generals of the rebellion have done in the past, and
Well,
you just don't like it because it's Laura Dern.
yeah. Would you have been offended if it was Akbar?
Yeah,
Like,
100%.
and here's the thing: if your answer is no, if you're like, well, but it should have been Akbar, you're directly feeding into the problem. You just have a
Exactly.
problem with who's represented, not with representation.
Exactly.
Like,
Here's the
ugh,
thing. Emily Holdo. is one of my favorite characters now.
She's fantastic.
She's so cool. I
And
love her hair. I love that she is wearing a very fancy dress.
yeah, she's very in the vein of Leia and Padme in the
Yeah.
sense of I don't need you to tell me what to do. I don't need you to hold my hand.
Mhm.
I've got control.
Poe
I
is
can do this.
being a little S word. I can't say it, but he's being a pouty little boy
Right.
in this movie
All
at the
because he's
beginning.
not in charge and blah blah blah.
Exactly.
And don't get me wrong, I love Poe.
Oh, 100%.
But he's being treated the way he deserves to be treated for some of
Exactly.
his choices in this. Like the whole opening is to set up, hey, you don't know everything.
Mhm.
You
You messed
clearly
up.
are a little biased when making choices because you think you can take on the whole empire by yourself. I need you to slow your roll. And and here's the thing: everything is there for why Holdo does everything she does. Like
Mhm.
I
He has
don't
proven himself to be
understand.
untrustworthy.
Well, and then how can you trust anyone when there should be no way to track through hyperspace?
Exactly.
I know we haven't talked like super geeky and sciency in many episodes
This is
lately,
something brand new.
but
You can't track through
this is
hyperspace.
right. So in a lore beat, based on that alone, how else other than a leak could they have found them?
Mhm.
So yeah, I'm not going to trust anyone.
No. It's smart.
And so, yeah, I don't have a problem with Holdo. I love her, and honestly,
I love Laura Dern.
no one would have had, and not that I would want it to be Leia, but I'm saying no one would have had an issue if it was Leia.
No.
But that's the thing is Leia's gotten by because of the metal bikini, because of years of fan service and everything, and from Carrie Fisher just genuinely being a pretty down to earth
Love
person.
her so much.
But here's the thing, you can't keep giving passes to certain women and certain female characters or
Mhm.
certain characters in general, but not apply that same level of respect and understanding to other ones.
Would you have been upset if it was Ahsoka Tano?
Right, like, again, just because your favorites are over here, and if they do something, it's okay, but all of a sudden this other new one, no, they've gotta wear a bikini for 5 seconds first before I can respect them and blah, blah, blah. I like,
And can we
ugh,
just take a moment to appreciate the Holdo maneuver?
right.
So
Which
freaking cool.
something I never would have expected to see, and
No.
as it was happening was very much a oh what
Wait a minute. Wait a minute.
what
Such a beautifully shot scene too.
oh yeah,
It was
and
gorgeous.
I really enjoyed that moment, and again, if if it had to be Fishboy for you to care about that sacrifice, like come on, just get off your high horse. I think, like you said, at some point you just got to admit when you don't like certain women,
Mhm.
because what else do you really have to hold against Holdo?
I know I'm stepping on some toes, and that's fine. I got my toe stepping boots on today, and I'm feeling bitey.
So, love Holdo, love that
Love it.
whole interaction.
Love her dress. Love her hair.
Um,
Love your hair.
and
Hope you win.
finally, I guess we'll see if this wraps it up. We kind of should on time wise, but some say the Last Jedi is the best of the sequels.
I love all of the children equally. It's my favorite of the sequels, though. Honestly,
I have to agree. Um, I I think of all of them, this is definitely the one I've rewatched the most.
it's beautiful. It's so well done. It's perfect Star Wars.
Yeah, kind of like back to what we opened up with. This is just such a well done
Yeah.
movie and a Star Wars movie. And so I don't think it's fair to like this
Hmm.
in a way that criticizes or hurts other films. Um, I don't like seeing people that love this movie just absolutely wreak havoc on other ones.
Hmm.
Like that's not the point in liking something. Um, I think all Star Wars is really good, though. I think this, yeah, like anything I really love, it's more personally important than anything.
Yeah, big
Um,
time.
it's fun, it's great, but it's also meaningful and inspiring. And so, yeah, when I think of Star Wars, this is just pure Star Wars. So, um, it is one of the greatest Star Wars films. It is the greatest of the sequel trilogy, and I don't think that means that 7 and 9 are bad at
No, not in
all.
the slightest.
I just think that for me, what makes 7 and 9 so good is the epicenter, the gooey middle that is The Last Jedi.
The nougaty center.
Yes, the perfect nougat that is The Last Jedi.
Agreed.
And
And
so,
every trilogy has the movie that is the most pure.
yeah,
And
it has the one that is the point of a trilogy. Like,
exactly.
that's what you got to realize. Like, you don't write a story because of the intro. You don't write a story because of the ending. You write a story because of the story
Yeah.
that's in between the intro and the ending.
What makes a sandwich a sandwich? The
The
meat.
meat.
Exactly.
Exactly.
Or the filling of your choice. It doesn't have to be
um,
meat.
yeah. Can put beans on that sandwich.
Put a bean burger on there. It's delicious.
Yeah,
A
and
hot dog is a
some
sandwich.
do so much. Like, I'll say, based on pure story, I think that the Phantom Menace is the most pure of the prequels. I think that Return of the Jedi is the most pure of the originals, and I think that The Last Jedi is the most pure of the sequels.
I agree.
And
These are movies that are the hinge to the entire story.
yeah, and that's completely opinion based, and that's not, again, ranking them. It's
No,
just a matter
we
of
don't rank.
these are what create and justify and um, begin everything else that
Hmm.
happens.
These are the fulcrums.
Yes, exactly. And so, yeah, we love all of Star Wars. We have special places in our hearts for particular parts of it,
Hmm.
though.
And particular characters.
Absolutely. And so, there's a lot more we could talk about with The Last Jedi, and there will be more we revisit for sure and spend time talking about very specific things. Would love to take time to focus on just the dyad, talk about some of the other moral points, as
Hmm.
and also some of the more weird points. That
Love it.
we can't fit everything into a single episode, and that's arguably a good thing. And so,
Yeah, because we could talk about this movie for so long.
absolutely. So, but we've got to keep content rolling for years to come. So, in the meantime, we'll just tease that and say that you should subscribe for whenever that does happen. We have one more in the trilogy to discuss, and that'll be
Dross.
in a week. We'll
Yeah.
talk about the Rise of Skywalker and end out our discussion of the main films of Star Wars and why we love them. Don't know that we'll keep this approach. I don't know if we'll have to, but maybe we will because the Rise of Skywalker is equally controversial,
Yeah.
and
But guess
we
what?
love the most controversial parts of Star Wars for some
Exactly.
reason. So maybe we'll keep it. But yeah, let us know your thoughts on these particular points or just your thoughts on your favorite things about these films. We'd love to hear it. We'd love to celebrate this film with you. And even if you have a different opinion, feel free to share. And again, check out the Negotiators video that will be linked in the description. It's a great video. I think it really captures the essence of Luke's journey in this film
Absolutely.
and across all films. And so check it out and support them and give them a holler and some love for that. Because I've been at least a few hundred views on that video alone, and I need someone else to see this goodness.
We just put
So
it on sometimes.
check that out. Thank you to our patrons and to all of our regular listeners and friends and fans. We appreciate all of you and for making all of this even more interesting and fun. We'd always do what we do because we enjoy it, but you help us enjoy it a little more. So thank you.
Yeah.
And yeah, with that, we have our year laid out. Rise of Skywalker coming up, and the MCU Spider-Man trilogy coming up as well.
Yes. Talking more Speedaman.
So that's what's happening on our end. Stay tuned for all of that. And yeah, we'll be back soon.
Bye.
Bye.